Good evening, and welcome you all to Saturday night's live podcast from Southern California with your hosts, Bob and Danielle. And we're here because we've been involved in CPS and we want to help others that are involved in CPS. Our whole purpose here is to pass on the knowledge that we gain fighting to have our kids returned to us and fighting CPS. We're not attorneys. We're not, we are experienced. And what we can tell you that may or may not work, but we've done a lot of researching and I've talked to over 500 some people in all the states. So I've heard everything about CPS. Now, the CPS that I'm talking about is the child protection system. When I say CPS, I talk about child protection system. Now, that system may have different names in every state. It's a government entity that was set up by Congress to protect our children from abuse and neglect, and to do family reunification. It's very important to say family reunification. Apparently, CPS has forgotten about reunification.
Oh, yeah.
And ever since I see that picture of the 8 women social workers in Arizona that had on the front of their pink shirts that they're professional kidnappers, on the back were your children, they thought it was a lark to do it in front of them. I think I know what the rationale was. But I still to this day don't understand it. They've been fired. The incident happened 2 years ago, but it sticks in my mind to see that people, fellow human beings that grew up with family and schools, and now they're adults, and they're doing a very serious job. I mean, I want to tell you, CPS is the hardest job to do in social services. It is so hard because you have to be skilled in so much, and you hold the life of family members in your hands. You social workers out there, if you're listening, you got to remember that what you do or say will affect the families for years to come. You CPS work affected my family. You have my daughter taken away. Yes, I got my 2 sons going back, but they've experienced a lot of problems. My wife has experienced a lot of problems. And the girl that I'm hosting with, Danielle, has had to fight for something that should never happen. She had an older son. She had a young son that was staying with her mother while she was taking care of a personal matter. And so her mother was a guardian of a young son who had special needs. I want to hear that. Special needs. It takes a special person to handle somebody with special needs. Not only does she have a son with special needs, she has a brother with special needs. So this person has redone their life, and unfortunately, her mother passed away. And in the gist of everything, CPS took her son, and then they couldn't handle his special needs, so they shipped him off from Georgia to Texas. Meanwhile, he's over the age of 18, so he's an adult.
No.
And he's trapped there. His mother's desperately trying to get him to come back. She needs to further adopt him as a special needs as an adult. He is an adult now with special needs, and his mother is going to be the caregiver or the step in there. So anyway, she has her case, and she's dealt with an agency called ICPC, which is an interstate organization. So that is good. She can talk about that. My case is a little bit different. My case was stupidity, things I didn't know, things I developed 3 rules for that I'll talk about later. But I was charged with neglect, and my neglect was my mom and dad were dying, and I was going through their stuff, and I had them at my house, and it gave the clutter effect, and they're saying that the boxes and the furniture could harm my children, who were there at that time 9 years of age, 12 years of age, and 15 years of age. But they insisted that they're in immediate danger and stole my kids, trafficking my children to foster care. And the first week they were in a shelter until we had the safety meeting, the family safety meeting, where we determined where the child would be placed temporarily. So There's a lot of steps involved when your kids are taken. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very complex. It's scary. It's a really
Yes,
scary organization.
it'll just be like a shocker, and it'll just take your whole life from you right then and there like at that moment. Like you're just lost. I mean, you would never think that people could just come and take your child, something you created, a human life you created,
Well, we didn't expect there to be some
and
agency that runs around
right
with no with no
authority or
watchdog, no
right,
watchdog. There's no
like
superintendents
mm-mm,
or supervisors or
right.
whatever it is. There's got to be a committee,
I mean, and it's
somebody
like
that oversees each
right.
state's CPS
Because this
cases
is this. I
and
mean, we got a
see what the
president that runs the
accountability.
United States. We got a
Yeah,
president. So I mean,
yeah,
why can't they? It's crazy. And what's crazy is it
yeah.
feels like a fast food restaurant because their turnover with their employees is like a fast food restaurant. I understand a fast food restaurant, but not with family. And because I know that's one thing they've complained about when that investigation here in Georgia opened up. The turnover is ridiculous, and I mean, and I've like with food stamps and stuff, there's some really, I mean, they're overwhelmed as well, but I mean, they don't sit there and hold their jobs. Like they don't make the people punish for it. I mean,
Yep,
if you're not happy with your job, don't do it. Just find you
yep.
something else.
Well, again, our purpose of this podcast is to help you.
Right.
We feel for you. We care about you. We're hoping that we could show ideas of how you can fight CPS and get your kids and be careful when dealing with CPS. It's a dangerous, dangerous thing. It will put your life on the line. It's
Yes.
very serious. CPS, you need to take it seriously. It's not a joking matter. Now, there's some ways that you can interact with this podcast because this is an interactive podcast. That's why I have a co-host. That way, Danielle and I can bounce things off each other, support each other, and it's really nice having a co-host. I want to thank very much to have Danielle.
And
She
thank you for
really adds a
allowing
lot
me.
to that. But you can also text in messages. I'm open to text messages.
Mm-hmm.
That means comments. If you want to make a comment, all I ask is you have your name and your city, state, and I'll say country code. And you're probably saying country code. Well, today we just had a person in the United Kingdom that had a CPS matter about how corrupt England and Wales are with their children. So, what I'm telling you right now, our show reaches all around the world. We've had Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana, Mexico, Mozambique, which is out in East Africa, and then Denmark. So far, that's all the countries that have contacted. I've had all 50 states, a lot from Massachusetts and Maine and Virginia and Georgia and Texas and Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Missouri, even the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota, the Lakota Sioux, which I'll talk to any of you Indian parents out there about ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. That's something that should not be overlooked. It's something that protects the Indian children. So the interact is the comments. You come in there and make. You don't have to make a comment to listen to the show. You don't have to make a comment at all. And again, um, try to keep the comments to CPS. Something about CPS. We want to keep focus on that because that's what everybody's coming here for.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody coming here. Now, another way you can interact with this podcast is you can call in and join me and Danielle and talk live on my phone. My office number is 626 698 0990. And it's available during my show. Now, my show's on 7 days a week, every day in the morning, usually at 10 o'clock. Today, it was on at noon. I was 2 hours late, but most time it's 10 o'clock. And it's on the evening for 1 hour at 7 o'clock. That's all Pacific Standard Time. Now, tomorrow on Sunday, the show, the only day of the week, is on at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's on 8 o'clock in the morning. So there are 14 podcasts going on. 14 podcasts going on a week. So if you don't get something the first time, you can call me back the next day. I've had several people call me the nighttime, then call me the next nighttime because they had their case the next day. And they were really happy with some things I told them that may work and may help you. So please call in at 626-698-0990, and I'll let you speak about your CPS case. Now, if you don't want to talk right now, and I understand it's very emotional, it's hard to talk, you can email my producer, Grace. She watches the show. She helps produce the show. She gives a lot of advice, and she keeps us in line. I'm really thankful to have Grace. She's with me every day, twice a day, except on Sundays. But that's only she gets a day off. I don't get a day off. And so just email her. It's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. It's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Now, and when you tell her, just say, I want to be on Bob's morning show or Bob's afternoon show and be on Monday's show, Wednesday's show. That's all you have to tell her. You don't have to tell the Pacific time or anything like that. So she'll fit you in. She'll give the information of how to get on the broadcast. We're broadcast on YouTube. We're using StreamYard as the application. So you found us on Facebook by searching Fight CPS. So we're one of several on Facebook. They're trying to help you all get your kids back or hang on to your kids. I want to acknowledge all your parents that are listening. If you're on this show, that means you care about your child. If you're a deadbeat dad or deadbeat mom or a drug mom or a heavy issues or anything, you wouldn't be on this show. You wouldn't care. So by you being on the show, I think you're a good person, and I hate it when social workers are saying, "Oh, that guy is a deadbeat dad. We're not going to help him out at all." You don't want to prejudge anybody, and of all, social workers should be very, very courteous and respectful. Go ahead, Daniel.
Open heart and an open mind. They should go into things because it's not their job to judge. I mean, they automatically judge before they even know the person. I mean, and they're supposed to be like, if you have a case with them, they're supposed to be, especially a reunification case, they're supposed to be like, and that's the way I was told is that you're supposed to be attached at the hip pretty much. Like they're supposed to be there to guide you and help you get to where you need to be, and they definitely do not do that.
Well, that's how originally was found. The history of CPS's interest, I've been studying it, is divided in 3 periods. It's from colonial days, that's when we had 13 colonies, to 1875. And then it goes to the second period from 1875 to 1962. Well, from colonial days to 1962, nothing really was being done like it is today. It wasn't until after 1962 into the 70s and 80s and 90s when things started happening, when kids started, being more protected and everything. There's other child groups out there in social services that were started right during the Civil War because there are a lot of homeless kids and so forth. So it's been around. There's no question. But sad to say, somehow this CPS system has found the greed for money.
Right.
I thought it was a $38 billion business. I was corrected. It's a 55 billion. I'm talking about billions and $billion business. They look at it as a money thing. They're all in for the money.
They get
and
that
from my experience and from talking to you out there, the social workers get bonuses.
Right.
And they are encouraged to take children, to traffic children, and to keep them and alienate the children from their parents. Now, alienation is wrong. Yeah. It's illegal. Trafficking is wrong. It's illegal. No one should be in control of anybody and be able to traffic them, especially children. Children are the most precious thing because
they learn from us. They learn from us adults. We're the ones that they look up to us, especially their parents, their family, the ones that are around the most. And there's a person commenting, they've left several, I don't know if you've seen them. We are a real human. Sorry. And then here comes the truth movement. But the first one says, what should I expect at trial? I only have 3 weeks till trial and permanency hearing. What to expect? Last court date, I submitted all my certificates to the judge through my attorney. They also completed the case plan, and they have her own income and home. Mine is a reunification case, and I've experienced anything but help. I do everything on my own. Then you have the truth movement that said, until we peacefully protest the atrocity that our government is doing to its citizens, we have no right to complain, really. And that's, and I've, when people, you have to go about it. I've learned professionally. We can't just create a ruckus like protesting or whatnot. We have to present, and I've learned that, but sometimes trying to get people together, it's like, but because they don't want like all these groups coming up and that's up to, I did learn that in a child support situation that I was helping out in.
Well, riots is not what you need.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a riot when it wasn't an insurrection. It was a riot that marched on the Capitol and it got out of hand. We had a riot in the schools. Those weren't insurrections at schools. Those were riots. And again, there's things called peaceful protests and radical protests. Mm-hmm. And what we need to do is we need to make changes. And how we make changes is through our Congress people,
Senators,
the representatives, and the senators. They're the ones that you need to talk to. They're supposed to have an open door policy. You should look them up and call them and tell them, we need to do something about the judges in the dependency court. They're corrupt. Or we need to do something about the caseworkers. They're not transparent. There's no accountability. For instance, Faye, who's one of her regulars that come to the room, she right now is experiencing some health problems. But in her state, in Kentucky, she's from Richmond. Mm-hmm. And she said that they did an audit of the CPS in Richmond. And they had $389,000 unaccountable. And that's a lot of money for one little agency. $389,000. That's almost $500,000. That somehow the department couldn't say where they spent the money, where the money went. And that's the sad part. I've been told in my area in Southern California, the county services there gets $20,000 per child per month. Mm-hmm. And I had 3 children stolen from me, and that was $60,000 per month. And soon that becomes $6 million. Very, very fast. Now, the Truth Movement is talking a lot. He's actually called on my show. He says, I would do nothing for the government. I did nothing for the government. I have a constitutional right not to be a witness or to be compelled to testify against myself, period. I said nothing about riots. I said you have a constitutional right to protest peacefully. Yes, you do.
To bring awareness
to these things. I wasn't talking about you, the Truth Movement, that you were doing riots or that you encourage riots at all. I was just saying that lately we've had all these things that are talking about, movements or protests, and they say everybody has a right to do protests. Well, the Truth Movement says peaceful, protest peaceful. That means you don't sit there and tell someone with hurtful names. Names do hurt people. Are you serious? Oh boy, I must have said something if I'm serious. I don't know.
It's saying we don't even know how to vote, and the people we vote in do not have us or our interests in mind. They feed political group and big interest, big money. big pharma and not the real sit.
I agree with you, Truth.
I
think
can't
what
vote,
he's saying,
so
he is referring to me that we need to go through our Congress people.
yeah, and
he says,
that's
are
what
you
I was
serious? And,
right.
you know,
You can't
all I know is to
even
make changes in this country, you have to get involved with this country. And if you notice that our Congress, they do make changes. They do very radically say things. So all I know is the child protection system was enacted by Congress and run by the federal government. In order to make changes to it, we have to have the Congress to make those changes. I can't make those changes. I don't think the president can make those changes. I don't think. I think what it has is our congressmen have to get more of them all thinking alike, vote in the changes, change the plan, make it so that CPS is transparent, have a board of supervisors that watchdog over the CPS. They have to report. Have an audit, a monthly audit, how the money's being spent. In fact, I think the government needs an audit of how the money's being spent. I think it's ridiculous when I hear they spend $1,000 for a toilet. You know, they give out so much money, but no one keeps track of the money or what they're spending it on. Now, we
right.
just send a lot of money to a lot of countries, I agree, but I'm hoping we're keeping track of what we're spending it on. I mean, I'm not here to talk about whether it's right or wrong to help out other countries, but I think we need to be accountability. There's
Right.
a cult group, and I call them a cult because their religion is a cult. They're in Utah. There's a lot of strange Utah religion groups. Well, this group decided that they can apply for the U.S. government for money to help them find an alternative fuel source. So they've
Right.
been doing this for 3 years, and they get millions of dollars, and they've not produced one drop of an
No.
alternative fuel source because no one's watching them. The government, so you could write the government right now and say, I need $1 million. And you can say what you want to say. You may get it because I don't think they're watchdogs at all. And they should be because that's our money. We gave that money as we pay our taxes. When we take our money, we pay the taxes, the federal taxes. That money is supposed to be used, you know, and it should be controlled how to be used, not just throw away. Okay, we are real human again. It's just me against CPS because my daughter's father's a drug addict who's done nothing. Well, what you have to do there, we are real human, is I hate to say you need a divorce from the father. You need to make your look good. You may have to move out where you're at and move someplace where it's safe. I've been told that Massachusetts is the safest state to live in.
The
That
daughter's got
surprised
to get
me.
away from the father.
Yeah, that surprised me. But anyway, Truth Movement, if you'd like to talk again, I'd love to hear from you. We are real human. I don't think you've talked to my show. I'd love to hear
Yeah,
from you.
that's the one that was saying about the case. She's completed a case plan. She's has her own home and income, and she had 3 weeks till trial and a permanency hearing. What to expect? She asked. Last court date, she submitted all her certificates to the judge through her attorney. Is your attorney court appointed? And also she said hers is a reunification case and I've experienced anything but help. I do everything on my own. She did ask what should she expect at trial. And they did leave him and have an order of protection. So there is a TPO and she did leave the father. So that's awesome. And she's asking what to expect at the trial coming up. So it's a permanency hearing coming up and it's supposed to be a reunification case.
Okay.
So yeah, let's see. And she said, oops. Yeah. And she's received everything but help. And they have the permanency hearing coming up. How long has your case been going on? Has it been a few months, a year? And how long ago did you leave the father, or did the father get out of the picture?
Ugh.
yeah, it's and then it's like we just had the one a minute ago, Bob, and I was like, dang, time flies by.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been 15 months. I left the father over a year ago. So what if wow, 15 months, and usually it's 18 months when they go to the. How old are the kids, may I ask? So the case has been going on 15 months, Bob, and left the father a year ago. So, and they've done everything that she was supposed to do, and they're still having the permanency hearing. It's a trial, and that's the final. Usually, the 18-month ball game. Usually with CPS or DFCS. Should she expect? So, what state were you from? My computer. And the truth movement, what they were saying, Bob, the reason why I said about keeping it professional with the Congress and stuff, back a while back with the child support thing and the absent fathers not getting to be involved in their kids' lives and having to pay, and because of in alienation. That's a big thing with alienation. Well, we had a lobbyist up in the Congress had up in Washington that told us that it's better to keep it professional and present them and not have like a big crowd show up, because they look down upon that. It's like and I did learn a lot from this lobbyist, and that's why like there are groups, and if you have like 5 groups that are going about the same thing and like 500 people, that's where they think of it as a riot and stuff, like they're trying to cause problems. That's why you have a lobbyist usually, but sometimes that don't even. So 10, 12, and 3. The 10 and 12-year-old have been returned, not the youngest. I had a weekend and they took them away and put them back on supervised, my youngest. Oh.
What, her older children were taken away again?
Yeah.
So she lost all 3 children?
Again, yeah. Well, it says that not the youngest. I had weekend and they took them away again. So they took the 2 oldest back away, and I guess the youngest has been with a foster home, and they put you on supervised. Did you get visits with the young one before? And now they're supervised. I'm getting. So do you have the 10 and 12 still, or? That's crazy. So I wonder what triggered it this time.
Well, she probably got someone pissed off and they're retaliating.
The guy she left, maybe. That sucks. That's man.
Yeah.
See how little something and CPS turns it into something big. I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, because they're looking at the money part of the whole aspect. They're not looking at the best interests of the parents or the child. They're not there for the best interest of the child or protect the child.
And like when they say supervised visits, how that they should think about how does that make a parent feel? The parent that created this child that was torn away from them. Like,
there's so many kinds of types of visits. There's unsupervised visits, supervised visits,
and just
monitor this monitor supervisions where a social worker sits at the same table as with you and your child.
Right.
I had a visit which was so sad. My sons all had Boy Scouts, and my son was in Cub Scouts. Now I know Boy Scouts has changed. Now it's called Scouting or Scouters. But anyway, my young son was in the Cub Scouts, so we'd have our weekly Cub Scout meetings. Or were they monthly? I can't remember if they're weekly or monthly, but
she said they only
we would attend, and we'd have to have a woman from the social worker be my monitor to watch me. Now you don't think how my son felt. He's with the boys in the front of the room. The father is off to the side or trying to help out with the boys' activities, and there's a strange lady with evil eyes in the back of the room. That is terrible. Both my boys lost an interest in scouting pretty quick.
Yeah, because my son, he gets, I mean, it's like he's 18, but he has to watch see me over a video to begin with, and then they stand over him while he's on the video, and it's like you can tell he wants to talk to me. I mean, but it just makes us parents. I mean, I could just
hold on
imagine.
a second, Daniel.
Okay.
We got Daniel. Daniel Browning has something very important to say, according to retaliation. Oh, I'd like to hear about that, Daniel. And what city and state are you from, Daniel?
Oh, I have some very important things to say, Daniel. They have been constantly canceling visitation or being late to drop off our children, to the point that our mandated parenting classes have been postponed. And I can't, yes, and they do that. And I got kicked out of my parenting classes and had to go start taking them on my own when my caseworker was supposed to get me a new.
You're trying to get, you see,
Illinois.
They want you to fail. They want
Illinois,
you to fail.
Bob. Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Okay, and I don't think I've only had one person from Illinois, but I'm glad for Mount Vernon. I'm glad to have you here, Daniel. That's great.
And we are real human about those kids. The kids were returned, the two oldest, and they returned the sons at 8 months. I had weekends visits with my daughter. I went through the whole process, and they have me starting over again on supervised visits.
Okay.
So something may have started.
Well, Daniel, do you want to call in at 626-698-0990 and talk about your CPS case?
And we are real humans.
Or you want to tell us what you have about what happened with this retaliation? Was it the mother that did something, or a family member did something?
And that happened to. Now they had us sign a paper saying practically that it was completely our responsibility. And sure, I'll call. Okay, he's about to call in. Daniel's going to call in, Bob.
Oh, good. Now they say they have us sign a paper saying practically that it was completely our responsibility. And okay, yeah, good.
And then they made a false accusation about me, saying that's why they started supervised visits again. So we are real humans. It's like she's got to start all over again by whatever the new false.
Well, it seems like,
and that's horrible.
It seems like CPS loves to bring parents up,
revolving door,
parents down.
It's like revolving.
Bring them down.
Once you get to the climbing to the top of that mountain and it's over, they want to push you back down the hill again, you know?
Good evening. Is this you, Daniel? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going okay. All right. Welcome to our podcast. How can we help you, Daniel?
Okay. So I was browsing through my YouTube, and this popped up first thing. We've been going through some things, me and my spouse. Okay, so I'll break down the brass tacks for you. We've fully stipulated, haven't found anything. Okay, we take a drug test. Our caseworker in court, she lost the ability to drug test here at the house. She gave us a fake drug test that said we had drugs we, of course, weren't doing, and we took a hair follicle test and went back 180 days and proved that we hadn't taken anything in court. But just that, I mean, she's right now, okay, to the task at hand. I mean, the corruption here. I'm sorry, I'm a little shaken up.
Hey, it's okay. I know it's hard to talk. Don't worry about it.
I've already reached out to a woman who's been to Pennington about this, and she just felt interested. Okay, so our kids right now are with my spouse's parents. Okay, and I mean, there was already an occurrence here at the house where her stepmom Tanya had like Maggie backed up against the fridge, screaming in her face, about 1 feet away from the kids. All right, and we're trying to be given them these safe places and things like that. Well, because I stepped away from cooking dinner and I told her she had to calm down, she can't act like that here, and it started this big mess of things. Our caseworker called us, Shelby. She had called us and said, "Oh, well, we're getting unsupervised doing our ACR."
Try not to use names if you can. Try not to use names, okay?
I'm sorry.
It was your name. I just I don't want to use other names there against other people. You can give the proximity of things like that, but as far as the name of your social, just say social worker.
Right, the social worker. She called us and said, well, we're getting unsupervised visitation. And then we had an ACR. This was on a Wednesday. She called us about the unsupervised visitation. Through the ACR, her parents had left a whole bunch of really negative comments, lies, flat out lies. The caseworker reported all of it as true. All the growth and development I've made within the case is practically ruined. Now, the parents live consistently. I'm talking within a matter of 3 months. We have 4 hours every Friday. Within a matter of, 3 months, had missed 8 visits. Okay, and they're doing Section 12 parenting class and everything like that, hands-on parenting, trying to get unification in order here and all that stuff. Parenting class is canceled on them. Her parents weren't allowed to do visits anymore, and then 3 weeks in a row, our social worker had canceled visitation within the last, hour before our visitation. So where parenting class said, we're not doing this, we're postponing this, we're not doing parenting class anymore. I guess, said they had a call in or something like that, but every time there was no heads up, literally no heads up an hour before the visitation. And now we've had to sign a paper saying literally it's our responsibility. Now we have to call the agency 24 hours in advance. And I mean, we were there. We were ready to go. I mean, we were here at the house ready to get this ball rolling here. And now I'm pretty sure when we go back to court, they're going to, I've been down this road with them probably 8 or 9 court dates now with them saying all of these things that aren't true, filing false reports. I've spoken to an advocate who is very, very good, but, I can't afford her services right now, and I don't know what to do. I don't have a clue what to do. I mean, we've been there, and we take our drug tests, we do our therapy, we do our classes, everything we need to do, and they're pretty much saying, our social worker went to court and said I was missing 11 assignments. I was missing 1 assignment for one of my classes from the very beginning, and I sent that to the attorney, and he still hasn't made any leeway. I don't have an attorney, I guess, for me to go the distance.
Are you using a public defender? Are you using a public defender?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's the worst kind of attorney to have, and I'm not trying to say to the reality is they are usually with 20 to 30 case loads, and they don't have time for you. They don't talk to you except the day of the hearing or the time you're in court. That's the only time they talk to you. They're not there. They don't want to do extra work, and they're not really there to support you. So you have to get a real attorney, and I'm really sorry to say that, but that's the way it worked with me. I tried for 1.5 years. So
is there anything that can be done about the hearsay and the lies they're spreading?
no, that's usually in a lawsuit. When you hear the hearsay stuff, all you have to do is state to the facts. If you have a paperwork of all your drug tests and they all show no results, then that's all you have to do. You have to have a copy of your parenting classes that you have finished, because they're going to say you did no parenting class. You have to protect with paperwork, and you can have that as attachments. And if the attorney gets to the point where he's hopeless, doing nothing for you, then you tell the court, Your Honor, may I approach the bench? And you approach the bench and you say, I'm now relieving my attorney. I'm going to represent myself until I can find a more capable attorney. So if it gets out of hand and that thing there, you can talk to the judge. And if he's a decent judge, he'll listen to you. And you can relinquish your attorney, because it sounds like to me that your public defender isn't helping you. And then you can go get another public attorney if you can't afford a professional one. The problem is it's going to have to take a professional one that has experience working with CPS.
Do you maybe know where we could begin to even find one in Illinois?
Yeah, I think you can. Now, the way you find attorneys, that I'll talk about my first rule, because this may help you. Get an attorney. You see, Social services is like doing open heart surgery. Now, if you're doing open heart surgery, are you going to use yourself to cut open your chest? Are you going to use a lay person to cut open your chest? Or are you going to use an auto mechanic to work in your chest? No, you're going to get a professional doctor. The same thing goes to with CPS. The child protection system is very corrupt, and you need someone that knows it and how to navigate through it. And I always say, think of the CPS as Alice in Wonderland. You're Alice, you fell in the rabbit hole, and now you're faced with all these doors. You don't know which one's going to open, and all these people saying the weirdest things. So it's strictly a mess in CPS. They don't like you. They don't like parents. They don't like seniors. They don't like elders. And they'll do anything they can to do because it's a $58 billion business, and they need that money. They're now got money's got the greed of them. But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just sent a link. If we can put that in the comments for him. It's Jeff County the pro resources that he can go get in, the free resources they have to help him with stuff like what he's asking, like parenting classes, and he can get it on his own, maybe possibly an attorney, but that's the resource page for parenting services in Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Okay, good.
That's now, the best one I could find so far.
Another thing, good. That's good to help him. Now, another thing is when you Google search attorney, you want to try find 10 of them that you can talk to. And how you set up your Google search is you start off with Mount Vernon. What's the next biggest city to Mount Vernon, Illinois? What's the next big city? Chicago?
Chicago's around 7 hours away. We're about 2 hours away from St. Louis.
Okay.
But that's in Missouri, of course.
Illinois, I didn't know where. Anyway, you want to put 2 cities at the beginning of your search. The first city is your city where you live in Mount Vernon. The second city is the next largest city next to you because you want to reach out a big area. And then what you're going to do is you're going to say family law attorney. That's your next buzzwords. You already said the location. Now you say family law. And what that's going to do, it's going to bring you up a lot of attorneys. And now I don't know if you're looking for a pro bono attorney. That was an attorney to do it for free. There are around. I'm not saying in Mount Vernon there are, but there may be. So you want to go ahead and put pro bono. The word pro bono is Latin and it means without payment. And so you could say a pro bono family law attorney. Pro bono family law attorney. That is one way to do it. And that way it'll keep the fees down too. You may do that whether you're going to pay them or not pay them. So now you're going to get a list of attorneys. Now you got to call 10 of them and find out which one works in CPS cases and which ones will talk to you without the first word, I want some money first. And so after you talk to them real quickly, you're going to come back and you want to narrow it down to 5. Now, 5 attorneys is who you're going to make a consultation with. One of them is Vincent Davis. He's he's been in the business for over 35 years. He's won CPS cases. He has fought CPS, got the children back. He's also sued CPS. He's a trial attorney, and he works in all the 50 states. He works out of Southern California and Northern California. But you can call him, and here's your number, 888-888-6582. And when you call in, say that Bob Pace sent you. And when you talk to Mr. Davis, say Bob Pace sent you. And he'll give you 30 minutes of time for $60. 30 minutes for $60. And that is well worth it because he'll give you the strategies of how to fight CPS. He'll tell you what you need to do, what not to do. And if you like him, you can maybe hire him. But don't forget, you got 4 other attorneys to do consultations with until you find the right attorney that meets your chemistry and that is affordable. And if you find a pro bono one, Good luck to you. I hope you do. But you need that doctor to do that open heart surgery. That guy you got, the clown, he's a waste of time. He's a waste of time. He's taking you down the path of no return.
Well, I appreciate your time, and that's a heck of a lot better than pro se. I will be honest.
Yeah,
I just wanted to.
Well, I'm not done yet. I got some more. I can still help you some more here. Danielle, has We Are You Human? Have we answered all their questions? They come in there.
She's wanting to know what to expect at trial and
is there something that We Are Really Human wants an answer for?
What she's expecting at her trial, which is going to be the permanency hearing, and that. I would ask for to see what their. I mean, it's whatever the youngest apparently is in a foster home. I'm guessing like with a family, and it sounds like that's what they're trying to be the permanency is for that young one. But they've returned. It's the young one.
Okay.
And it's like they're and that's. I mean, I'm not for sure, but that's. It sounds to me like the permanency hearings about the young one, and I guess they're going to leave the two older ones with them. They put them in 4 different foster homes. Okay, Daniel. I wasted my time in public, and there's nothing I can expect to fight for her.
Did I lose Daniel?
He said he was getting ready for work. He's still here, but he's getting ready for work. He's in the comments.
Okay, well, thank you, Daniel. I don't mean you had to leave. Okay, understand, Daniel. Is there something else that we can help you out with, Daniel? That's one thing I didn't get a chance to do.
The websites I sent you, Bob, I can't post them in the comments for him.
Okay, you sent me the website?
Yes, I've sent you 2 of them, I think. There's a CASA one and the Knox starting point one. That will give them free, they will help. They're free of charge. And that's, it's okay, Daniel. But they'll help, and they have a lot of resources. And it's kind of like an advocacy place that helps with things like that. Like, with education and in-home. I mean, they even can do be a supervised.
There's one, Daniel, I'm sending you the one website, and let me get you the other one.
The second one's the good one, the real good one. That first one's the CASA, but they are it's a CASA, but the second one,
here's the second website. These 2 websites I've sent you. Why it's repeated is because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 CPS rooms are linked to mine, and now they're being advertised to their rooms. So not only do these links go out to here, they go out 8 other places. So we get the word spread. That spreads it fast. Now, what I wanted to know, was there anything else, Daniel, that we have forgotten you? And also, We Are Human. They put her in 4 different foster care homes, and there's nothing I can expect to fight for her. How old is We're Really Human? How old is that girl?
It's the young. There are 2. The daughter that's in foster care. I think 8 months. It's a child. It's a young one. Because the 2 oldest have been returned, but the youngest one is still in foster, and that's the one that I'm believing that they have to go to a permanency hearing about. And I believe it's something to do with the foster home people. Somebody,
right? Well, you got to fight that. What you want to do is you want to stop with the public defenders. They're not going to help you, and you can approach the judge the proper way in court.
She'll be 4 in June.
You can say, Your Honor, may I approach the bench?
The youngest will be 4.
You tell them that you don't want your public defender, and that you want to defend your case, and you want to speak, and then you do your speaking, and you say you also want a continuance of this hearing so that you can get yourself an attorney that will fight for you. You can ask for it, and maybe you can find a pro bono attorney. I know it's a terrible wish list out there, but there are attorneys. But I think if you put the word pro bono, it's going to pull up attorneys that don't charge and attorneys that have low fees. I think it will. So if you put this 2 cities, your home city and the largest city close to you first, and then put in pro bono family law attorney, I think you'll come up with maybe at least 10 names. And 10 of them is who you would call to get a feel for them. They may be out of business. So those 10 calls are simple calls. They're just fishing calls to see if they are there, whether they do consultations, what it is. But from the list of 10, you'll narrow it down to 5 good ones that you want to do a consultation with. And that's where you determine whether you can afford them, whether they're interested just for your money, or they really are serious about your case. So you need to, that rule number 1, find an attorney. And I want to talk about rule number 2 again. We talked about earlier today, and that's the paperwork things. And I suggest everybody get a binder, a 3-inch binder with as much paper as you can fit in that binder, and then get a package of tabs, subject tabs. And you want to at least have 3 tabs. You can have more, but the first tab is going to be the incidents. You want to get a list of your incidents, all done by date and time. And after the date and time on that first line, put down who was involved with. Your second line or third line will be what the incident was about. And then your fourth and fifth line will be the results, the outcome. And you may not know the outcome. It may take you 3 or 4 years or 6 months. Then you skip a couple lines to the next incident. So the first tab will house all your incidents. The next tab will be all your parenting classes, all your program classes, all your drug tests, all your whatever things that you have that document what you're doing. Because you need to show the court that you're completing everything and that you are making your best effort to learn the information and so forth. Then your third tab is going to be all your knowledge things where you put your websites, things where you can find information on and stuff like that. Then your rest of the tabs are up to your own. But that's how you should do the paperwork. Now, the third rule I find is also very important is that you do not want to talk to social workers. The short answer is yes, no. You don't want to talk to them. And you got to learn how to do that with somebody. If it becomes really hard, then say, look, I can't talk any further. Talk to my attorney. Can you give me your business card? I'll get back to you. So you got to be courteous with them and work with them. Also, if you mention that you got an attorney, they may back off a little bit. And so it's very, very important that you say no to social and also no to policemen. If they want to write you up with a citation, have them do so. To say, give me your citation or give me whatever you're trying to do, but don't sit there and argue. Don't sit there and tell them your life story. It will come back to haunt you. They'll use your words against you. So the rule number 3 is that you just don't want to give up much information to social workers or police. Also, your children in your home visit. Don't let them in your home. Don't give permission. If they give you permission, they'll take away your children. So if they want to come in your home, they have to have a warrant or a court order that says they can do what they want to do. That means there's a name on there. There's a date and time they're supposed to take to come into the home. There's also the accusations and, who they're investigating and so forth. All that's got to be on the warrant, and it's got to be signed by a judge, and it's be a wet signature. So a court order warrant is what you need before letting them in. Now, they can come in extreme danger. If you're strangling the child or throwing the child against the wall, the child is in immediate danger. There's no question about that. Shooting a child with a gun or knifing them or something, those are extreme dangers. That is what's meant by extreme danger. And they can come and enter it. Otherwise, try to deal with it outside. Go to their office if you want to talk to them, or have your attorney with you, and he'll tell you what to do and not to do. Because if they come in your home, they're going to go through your underwear drawer. They're going to go through everything and investigate things. And they'll find things to use against you. There's no need to give them that ammunition there. So tell them to stay out of the home and whatnot. It's your constitutional rights. Now, that also goes for children. Don't give away your children so easily. They have to have a court order, a warrant to take your children. Have your children stay with your family members away from the area. In fact, I suggest if you're really involved with CPS, you've heard first wind about it, I'd look for a family member you can put them in a different state because they're going to sit there and try to take away your children. Then you can deal with them when the children are gone. If they ask for their children, just say they're safe and secure with a family member, and it's not in this state. And so there's nothing that says you have to produce or anything like that. So then you say, all right, let's take care of the business. What is wrong? What's wrong with my home? What's wrong with my husband? What's wrong with my wife? What did we do wrong? What classes do we need to do? What drug tests do we need to take? And you do all that. And the children, meanwhile, are safe with other family members. And you don't have to go through the heartache of child trafficking or alienation by the social workers that take your children from you. It's very disenchanted right now because I have a daughter at the age of 12 that was told to divorce her mom and dad, her brothers, her grandparents, all the family members. Then she was supposed to change her name, which she did. She was supposed to be adopted by a foster care family, which she did. And she sealed her birth certificate. All that was done. That's not by a 12-year-old. A 12-year-old doesn't know all that. That was done by a social worker threatened us parents because she had lost her case in court. She was embarrassed because she lied under the law, and she could be very well, we could have done a lawsuit against her. There was definitely set for a lawsuit. So that tells you that. And I don't want to forget about medical trafficking. Medical trafficking is part of the abduction of your child. If your child's sick and you, heaven forbid, you have to go to the hospital late at night, the doctor may say something you may not agree with. That's your right as a parent. You say you may want to seek other medical advice, other things there. What's been happening lately is case workers are there and they take your child because they say you're not trying to help your child, which is far from the case there. So watch out the medical trafficking, they'll take it. Also, if you're giving birth to a child, don't let the social worker come in the room and take your child. Tell all those people to stay out of the room. They have no right to it. They can wait in the waiting hall or in the lobby. Police and the CPS social workers don't need to be in your birthing room or your room where you're having your baby. That's wrong. So be aware of medical trafficking. So that's my rule number 3. So I've talked about my 3 rules, and we've had a guest speaker, Daniel Browning, who has a hard case. We Are Real Human has been trying to fight for her case. She has been really, really, really bad there. And then we've had the Truth Movement, who's been on my show before and talked. And so we've had some interesting people tonight. I hope more will check in tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, I'm telling you guys, we are on at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock on Sunday, Pacific Standard Time. I know it's early for you people on the West Coast. East Coast people, it's probably great because you can go do the show and then go to church. But anyway, we're on at 8 o'clock in the morning. Is there anything else you want to add? Because we have about a minute and a half left, Daniel.
I'm good. I just keep your heads up and don't give up on them kids. And We Are Real Human. Just fight for that, because it sounds like the foster or somebody's trying to adopt your youngest. That's what I don't. And they're trying to terminate rights. So just keep your head up, and if you want to join us to talk more in the morning, that'd be awesome, and we can help you out a little more. But and Daniel, just you keep, don't give up on them babies, and try to see what you can do on your own. So instead of getting them to provide the services, do resource out and look up those websites.
Remember, the internet is your friend. Knowledge is what you should be doing. You got to be knowledgeable. And everything you want answers to is on the internet. All right. Yeah. I'm going to say good night and God bless. And thank you, all of you, for listening. And keep fighting for your kids. This is Bob and Danielle signing off till tomorrow morning.